First step is I've cleaned the face of the flywheel with a microfiber cloth and a solvent. In this case I used Eastwood's pre-paint solvent, which is used to get all the last bits of grease and dirt off any surface before painting. So I figure it's a good solvent to use on the surface. Here's the new clutch disc. The instructions say to mount it with the shorter flange in towards the engine and the larger flange outside. This isn't obvious, it's not marked inner or outer, but this side seems to have a big structure on this side sticking out farther where the springs are, and on this side it's a little bit more flush. Same orientation, and now I've inserted the alignment tool, which as you can see is narrow on the inside. It's going to go inside, I think what's called the spigot bushing, in the middle of the flywheel. Okay, so there's a clutch plate assembled on the flywheel, held in there by the alignment tool. It's touching a little bit, doesn't move around too much, it spins quite freely. I don't see where it's touching anything. So that's the way it's going to go in. So just as a double check, I tried putting it in the other way around, and when you push in like this way, there's this big gap here between the surface that's supposed to hit against the flywheel and the flywheel. So that's obviously not the right way. I'm going to flip it around now. Okay, here's another shot of that. This time I have flipped it around so that the shorter side is inward, and now the surface that's supposed to bear against the flywheel is right up against it. So I feel very confident now that that's going in the correct way. Here's the new pressure plate and the inside surface of it. Since I bought it, it acquired a little bit of like little black spots on the surface here, which I attribute it to maybe some surface rusting. I cleaned it with the same stuff. Touched it just a little with this emery paper on the rust spots. Just seemed to make it dirtier, so I stopped doing that and I finished cleaning it. Here's the old one. Fairly dirty also, but it was working fine. And here's the original pressure plate, or yeah, clutch disc. This is the side that goes in. It's really in great shape. The surface down to where the rivets are is a big gap, maybe even bigger than the newer clutch disc. The outside of it had a little bit of a glazed appearance for some reason, and a bit dirty. But anyway, I'm going to use the new ones. Notice that there are two locating pins on the flywheel. There's one, and on the opposite side is the other one. On my flywheel, one of those was sheared off, and my friends at K Motorcar replaced the broken off pin, so we should have an easy task of getting the pressure plate on. Here's a final look at the clutch assembled to the flywheel. Trying to look through this hole, see if I can get a good shot of the flange there. But as noted before in multiple places, the thicker side of the driven plate is to the outside. And it's obvious that if you don't do that correctly, what happens is the driven plate just does not touch the flywheel if you've got it the wrong way around. So it's really not that difficult to get it correct. Now, one of the last things I did here was tinker with this. This was after I'd got it on there the first time, and I found that this wasn't completely centered, a little bit offset. So I loosened everything up and I redid it, tinkered around with it, till I got this in multiple positions. It's just a plastic tool. I'm not too sure how accurate it is. I had found that my first fitting of the clutch and the driven plate, I had various different gaps around here, like that looks a little different there, but if I keep turning it around in multiple different positions, I've got a pretty even gap between this circumference here and the tool. So I'm quite confident now that I've got that as centered as I can possibly get the clutch disc inside the clutch pressure plate. Now when I took this off, the clutch plate off the second time, I found that the pin over here had a burr on it, and I was getting these like screeching and scratching noises as I tightened the pressure plate up to the flywheel. So when I took it off, I filed the burr on the end of this older pin, and when I put it back on, then I had no longer had any slight interference fit over there, which is a good thing, I think. You know, it's just there's no point in having any pressure on the pin or on the, you know, have it slightly out of alignment or difficulty in cinching it up. After that, I brought everything up, alternating just a couple quarter turns or so on the ratchet wrench on all the nuts, going from one across to the other side, then another one across to the other side, alternating a pattern like that till I got it all tight up against the flywheel. And then I found a torque spec for this in the Antics Tech manual that I got from the Michigan Rowdies some number of years ago, and it said 35 foot-pounds. So far, I have brought it up to 30 foot-pounds, and I will probably do a final tightening of that today. So that's on all of these screws here. So I'm feeling pretty good that the clutch is properly assembled to the flywheel. Here's my rebuilt gearbox, rebuilt and exchanged with Quantum Mechanics in Connecticut, John Esposito. And over here you can see the actuating arm that operates the clutch. This is what connects to the slave cylinder. Over on the inside, that actuating arm, which is coming in here, is connected to my roller release bearing. I got the last roller release bearing that was available. I got it from Scarborough Fair. There are no more. The company went out of business. And there's a bit of a debate over whether you can use these in MGs. John Twist at University Motors says you can't use roller release bearings on MG transmissions. But one of the guys in our club says you can. He's had it for 20 years, the exact same roller release bearing. And since John Esposito of Quantum Mechanics said I can use it, I'm going to go with it because it's a superior way to actuate the clutch. So this bearing here, which rolls, turns around this way, hits the shiny surface on the outside of the clutch pressure plate, and that's what pushes in against the springs and releases the disc, clutch disc, to run freely when you're shifting.